In section 8.2, we're going to learn about another linear measure, and that's the metric system. And so the metric system is in most countries around the world is used very little in the United States. And so the metric system does not use inches, feet, pounds, and so on, but its units for time and electricity are the same as those used now in the United States. Now, the advantage of the metric system is that it's easier to convert from one unit to another within the system than within the American system. And the reason why is because it's based on the number 10. So the basic unit of length is 1 meter, and so that's obviously a vocabulary word. And so to get a feel for what a meter is, it's a little bit more than a yard. In fact, 1 yard is approximately equal to 1 meter is approximately equal to 1.1 yard. These two wavy lines means approximately equal to. And that's one of the things about the metric system, or other systems for that matter. What does it really mean? You can have a conversion, but you need to develop a feel for what means, like 1 meter. So in terms of yard, a little bit more than a yard, 1.1 yard. So 10% more than a yard. So here when we have a meter, in other words, 1 meter is longer than a yard, and 1 yard is equal to 1 meter is equal to 1.1 yards. So that's a comparison here. Then all the other units of length are multiples of the length of a meter. They're expressed in terms of a meter, like 10 times a meter, 100 times a meter, 1,000 times a meter, etc. Or fractions of a meter, like 1/10 of a meter, 1/100th of a meter, 1/1000th of a meter, and so on. So everything is based on a meter. So here are the most common metric units of length. So 1 kilometer, the abbreviation being km, is 1,000 meters. M stands for meters. Kilo means 1,000. 1 hectometer, or an HM, is 100 meters. So hecto stands for 100. Again, M stands for meter. And 1 decameter, DIM, would be 10 meters, deca standing for 10, and then 1 meter is simply 1 meter, obviously. And then 1 decimeter is 1/10th of a meter, and 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter, and 1 millimeter is 1/1000th of a meter. So here you have the most common metric units of length. So most of you would probably have to memorize that. Some of you may be familiar with the units, the metric units of length, but it's important to obviously know what people mean when they talk about a centimeter or a millimeter or a kilometer. So again, these are vocabulary words, and you need to learn or remember what they mean. Again, here's the emphasis on memorizing the names and abbreviations for metric units of length. Again, kilo stands for 1,000, hecto stands for 100, deca for 10, deci for 1/10, centi for 100th, and milli for 1/1000th. Again, the units of hectometer, decameter, and decimeter are not used often. But when they show up in some of the exercises they do, you need to know what they mean. Then also in the future, we will use these prefixes when considering units of area, capacity, and mass. So in other words, these units will show up again later. So next we'll be talking about thinking metric. And so here the idea is to familiarize yourself with metric units. So let's consider the following. In other words, to develop a feel for what it means. 1 kilometer is obviously 1,000 meters, and that's slightly more than 1/2 of a mile. It's about 0.6 miles, 1 kilometer. Then 1 meter, we already mentioned that, is just over a yard. That's 1.1 yards. And 1 centimeter is a little bit more than the width of a paper clip. A paper clip is about 0.3937 inches. But the width of a paper clip, that's about a centimeter. So here's what it looks like. Here's a centimeter, and here's the width of a paper clip. And that's the hard part about learning about these units. What does it really mean? So these comparisons can help you develop a feel for what these units of length represent. Let's look at some examples. So using a centimeter ruler, measure each object. So here we have like something like a stamp or something. And so this is a ruler, and so this is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and so on. And the smaller subdivisions are millimeters. So in other words, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 millimeters to a centimeter. So in this case then, this object measures 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters. Okay, so 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters. So next is a bolt, and so we notice it's a little longer than 2 centimeters, and says 1, 2, 3 millimeters in addition to that. So this bolt is 2.3 centimeters long, or if we count millimeters, it's 10, 20 plus 3, 23 millimeters. So 2.3 centimeters or 23 millimeters. Next, we look at the length of a battery, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 4 would be 4.4 centimeters. 4.4 centimeters, or 10, 20, 30, 40 plus 4 is 44 millimeters. In the next exercise, we are supposed to complete the statement with millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers. So a stick of gum is 7 units long. Now, millimeters, you look at 7 millimeters, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 millimeters. So obviously, a stick of gum is not 7 millimeters long. Then there's 7 centimeters. That seems to make a lot more sense than millimeters, but let's go on. Now 7 meters, remember a meter is 1.1 yards, so a stick of gum is certainly not 7 yards long. Or kilometers, a kilometer is 1,000 meters, so that wouldn't work either. So most likely, the best answer really is 7 centimeters, and that is the correct answer. So when it comes to these kind of questions, just use common sense. Or Dallas is 1,512 from Minneapolis. Well, again, millimeters, you know how long a millimeter is, that's not very much. Then 1,512 centimeters, that wouldn't quite do it either. Again, meters, 1,512 meters, that would be about a mile, a little under a mile, so that wouldn't be a distance either. So in this case, kilometer would be the right answer. And in number 6, we ask a penny is 1 millimeter, centimeter, meter, or kilometer thick. Let's start at the end. Obviously, a penny is not a kilometer or 1,000 meters thick, or it's not even a meter thick, or it's not even a centimeter thick. So in other words, a penny is 1 millimeter thick. Or number 7, a halfback when 7 what? Well, certainly not millimeters, and not 7 centimeters either. 7 meters seems reasonable, and 7 kilometers not. So the halfback ran 7 meters. Number 8, the book is 3 units thick. Now, millimeters would not make sense because a penny is a millimeter thick, so a book is typically thicker than 3 pennies. Centimeters seems to make sense, so let's hold on to that. A 3 meter thick book is hard to imagine, and obviously a 3 kilometer thick book, as far as I know, doesn't even exist. So centimeters is the right answer in this case. And number 9, a desk is 2 units long. What could it be? Well, millimeter, again, that's the thickness of a penny. That certainly wouldn't work out. And 2 centimeters, that's less than an inch. So desks are longer than an inch. Then meters, yeah, 2 meters, that would make sense because a desk is certainly not 2 kilometers long. So 2 meters long. In exercise 10, we are supposed to convert 23 kilometers into meters. So here's how we convert this. 23 kilometers equals 23 times 1 kilometer. And since 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, then 23 kilometers is 23,000 meters. Similarly, number 11, 4 hectometers is how many meters? So 4 hectometers we can write as 4 times 1 hectometer. And 1 hectometer is 100 meters. So therefore, 4 hectometers is 400 meters.
I'm actually going to go for a walk, Dad.
So as we discussed earlier, 1/10 of a meter is 1 decimeter, 1/100th of a meter is 1 centimeter, and 1/1000th of a meter is 1 millimeter. It follows that 1 meter equals 10 decimeters. In other words, we multiply both sides of the equation by 10. Or 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. We multiply both sides of the equation by 100. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. Again, we're multiplying both sides of the equation by 1,000, which gives us 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. So with that in mind, let's convert 1.78 meters into centimeters. So 1.78 meters is equal to 1.78 times 100 centimeters, since 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, and that then is equal to 178 centimeters. So 178 centimeter. Or number 13, 9.04 meters equals 9.04 times 1 meter, or 9.04, since 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters, times 1,000 millimeters, which is equal to 9,040 millimeters. So 9,040 millimeters. Similarly, for number 14, 7,814 meters is equal to 7,814 times 1 meter equals, so we can write that as 7,814 times 1 meter, or 7,814 meters divided by 1 times 1 kilometer per 1,000 meters. This then becomes 7,814 divided by 1,000 times meter divided by meter times 1 kilometer. Then the meters cancel, and 7,814 divided by 1,000 is equal to 7.814 kilometer. So 7.814 kilometers for number 14. Number 15 is very similar. It's a guided solution. In number 15, we are converting 7,814 meters into decameters. So we begin by writing 7,840 meters equals 7,814 meters times 1 decameter per 10 meter. And that then becomes 7,814 divided by 10 times meter divided by meter times 1 decameter. And that is equal to 7,781.4 decameter. 781.4 decameter. Number 16, converting 9.67 millimeter into centimeters, we write this as 9.67 millimeter equals 9.67 times 1 millimeter equals 9.67 divided by 1 times 1 millimeter. And since 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters, this then becomes 9.67 divided by 10 times millimeter divided by millimeter times 1 centimeter, and that's equal to 0.967 centimeters because the millimeters cancel out. So 0.967 centimeters. in number 17, we write 89 kilometers. It's 89 kilometers. It's equal to 89 times 1 kilometer equals 89 divided by 1 times times 1,000 meters per kilometer. That then becomes 89 times 1,000 divided by 1 kilometer divided by kilometer times 1 meter. And that is equal to 89,000 meters. And so we can write it 89,000 times 1 meter. And that's equal to 89,000 times 100 centimeters per meter. Oh, here's a meter somewhere also. So that then is equal to 89,000 times 10 times meter divided by meter times 1 centimeter. And so the meters cancel out, and so we have 100 here. So that gives us 8,900,000 centimeters. So 8,900,000 centimeters. So next we're going to learn how to change over mentally. And so to change over from one unit of length to another in the metric system amounts to the movement of a decimal point. That's because the metric system is based on 10. So let's find a faster way to convert. Look at this following table. So 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer, 100 meters equals 1 hectometer, and 10 meters 1 decameter, and 1 meter is obviously 1 meter. 1/10 of a meter is 1 decimeter, 1/100th of a meter is 1 centimeter, and 1,000th of a meter is 1 millimeter. So each place in the table has a value of 1/10. That's to the left, or 10 times to that to the right. So here's the idea. Moving one place in the table corresponds to moving one decimal place. In other words, going from 1 kilometer to 1 hectometer is simply 1/10 of a difference. Okay, so here we're going to do some exercises where we do this mentally using the table. So let me keep the table here visible. So in number 18, we want to convert 6,780 meters into kilometers. So when we go to kilometers to meters, we go 1, 2, 3 to the left. So that means the decimal is here. This then becomes 6.780 kilometers. In the next exercise, 19, we go from centimeters to millimeters. And when we go from centimeters to millimeter, we go 1 unit to the right. So this then we move the decimal 1 to the right, and it becomes 97.4 millimeter. And in number 20, we go from 1 millimeter to centimeter. 1 millimeter to centimeter, we move 1 unit to the left. So this is then 0.1 centimeters. And in number 21, from 845.1 millimeter, we go to decimeters. So we move 2 units to the left. So that then moves the decimal point 2 units to the left. It becomes 8.451 decimeters. So as you can see, conversion with tables like this makes it really easy. And overall, converting from meters to kilometers or centimeters to millimeters and so on, especially when you use this table here, makes it really, really easy. And this is the end of section 8.2.